important, honestly, and be honest with yourself. I'm not here to judge. I will never know unless you let me know. If you want to keep it to yourself, you have every right to do so. Your sleep. How have you prioritized? Like, how important is sleep? Are you getting enough every night, every day? This is a big one. We're going to get into just the hacks of sleep. If you've just had a shitty time of it, it could take weeks. It could take up to a month or more even. 6 months of bad sleep will really, your health will be crazy. You won't be able to function. Now, this is something I've had to learn. It is not something I was taught. All my life, just in the previous generations, we were all taught the importance of sleep and everything, but we were taught in a more routine way of it. So that means we were taught, like, you must be in bed by a certain time every night, which means you must have something in your body that is shutting your mind down and numbing your mind every night. Well, for a lot of us who have been on kind of in the sort of psychiatry, growing up, the sort of, we kind of grew up in the 90s where drugs were kind of prevalent to hacking your mind and your life. And, so I had been kind of on a lot of things to help, and I've had a lot of issues with it anyway, and struggled with that. And this is the first time the last few years, really the last, to be exact, the last 3 years, I could say. It's 2025. Yeah, the last 3 years of being sober in this way. Now, there are things that you can do to hack your mind that don't involve sleep aids, drugs, etc. And we're going to get into that. Because what is sobriety anyway? So this is going to go deep into life process, and it's going to be a bit different than the last episode, because what I've found, how I can do this now, is give you a better environment with where I can actually write. I can share things from my planner that I find useful. I will do that. I will take the private stuff out and share the very useful stuff within my planner in the journaling section that I am implementing in my life, that I've been implementing as patterns that have shown up in my life naturally, not as things that I have to necessarily force. Because for a lot of us who struggle with this, we're finding ourselves searching on a good night's sleep, how to improve sleep, what if you have bad sleep, things like this. Maybe you find yourself searching for sleep problems. Like, you just found yourself searching because you want to hear from somebody who's dealt with this. I'm here for you. I understand you. I hate every torturous second of not sleeping. It's honestly the main reason why I took an interest in morning routines in the first place, way before the internet and way before the morning routine fad ever came to be. That's a part of it. The other part is some of the family would work nights while some of the family would work and start their day early in the mornings and work days. And I gravitated toward early in the morning person. And I really think that has a lot to do with the way that I sleep. And so you're going to sleep differently based on your life, your needs, and even your mind to a certain degree. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to go through the notes here, and this is going to be I want to get into step by step of how to really get into how the process of sleep is going to be. So getting your sleep into place is going to depend on what you put in your body. And I can do separate episodes on what you put in your body. But this is really going to matter a lot as to what you put in your body. So there's different ways that we manage our intake of something that helps us wake us up. For some of us, it is soda. All my life, I was a huge Pepsi drinker. I never really got into coffee until my late teens, but Pepsi was it for me. It was my drink of choice to wake up and sustain throughout the day. And then I went to green tea in addition to Pepsi, and it kind of got me thinking about different things. And that was thankfully working in music and having somebody that coached me through a lot. We didn't get to work well together towards the end, but he really coached me in the importance of green tea and apples and just having different things and taking an interest in health and things like that, even just to keep in shape for performances and things like that. So if you're not a coffee drinker, I'm not completely biased towards that. You can modify this to tea. And if you have these herbal teas or these weaker coffees for at night, you can kind of relax, especially if you are sober and need to drink something, enjoy something other than drugs or alcohol, other than pills, other than gummies, any of that, weed, whatever. If you want to get away from some of that, there's nothing wrong with having, if you don't have an issue with that, there's nothing wrong with having a little weed if that's something that helps you, or CBD, or, a couple of glasses of wine, a couple of beers. If you don't have any issues, I don't judge any of this. Even something stronger, if you don't have any issues with it and you can kind of use it and it helps you. But for those of us who were really trying to be sober, so my first major thing is if you are working with tea, you're going to want to use it to help you sustain throughout your day. And my recommended tea, and I love this because I love my coffee, but there are times that tea is really enjoyable to have and can give me a different experience and a different state of being than coffee when I just want something a little bit different and herbal in my experience. And so English tea is a huge win. Green tea can be if you're way more herbal than that, but if you really still love your caffeine, English tea, I'm telling you, Yorkshire tea is going to be, even the one that's shipped, like Yorkshire tea is shipped from South Africa, and I guess they kind of sell it, and it's come from Yorkshire and somewhere in England, I don't know, I'm not really educated, but that is what the English drink every day. If you're English, you can correct me on any of this, but I love it for when I just really want a different experience, and I can drink it cold, I can drink it lukewarm, or I can drink it hot. And if I just need a little something else to drink and a different experience, I can do that. I love hacking my mind for different experiences. So you can measure throughout the day, and if you have just gotten a shitty night of sleep, if it's tea, if it's coffee, you can measure strength by way of how many bags to put in if you're working with tea, measuring your coffee intake. If you are a coffee drinker, definitely you're going to want to make it super strong. And this is really going to matter to you. And if you can just measure your coffee by how much you can kind of scoop in as you're making your coffee, whether it's instant and you're scooping it into a cup of water. Sometimes you don't even have the patience to use a microwave and you're making cold coffee, lukewarm coffee. Or if you're using a coffee maker, a coffee pot, we love our Ninja over here, and we've gotten other people on board with investing and buying Ninja. And we love that for the hot water, for the coffee, and all of that. But even just a regular, like, $15 coffee pot will work. Or, again, instant coffee with hot water in the microwave, or just a lukewarm coffee with water that you have on hand, or cold water, whatever you have going on. And it doesn't really matter the temperature at this point. You're just going to want to scoop that coffee, pinch however much you might need, do a little extra than you'd usually do. I know it seems kind of scary. I've made motor oil for the family and kept it for myself, and remade them some less intense coffee and kept the more intense for myself, because I've definitely needed it in the past. Didn't even know it was for a sleep hack, but just really preferred it. So if you can do that, it will sustain you even more and give you a huge boost. It's really, really nice. It's almost like if you've been sober and you're getting used to being sober and then you just didn't sleep, it's almost like a huge hit of something. Coffee does have a lot of properties in it. That's why I recommend it so much. Some health benefits, some properties that have drawn people, any kind of meth addicts, or like there's some properties from meth and that are in your coffee. So kind of some meth properties that you'll find if you read up on it. You'll kind of understand that it also acts as like a chemical balance for those who want to replace antidepressants. I didn't realize that either. I'm really grateful for that research, because growing up with an inherited family who had been on antidepressants, I think it's really cool, because I never knew how to kind of like balance chemicals. I don't have any problems in that regard, but after being in a kind of the preference of that generation of the 90s where we all worked with Big Pharma, you kind of don't know. You have a headache, you take something, you have this, that, you don't feel right, you don't feel good, you know. And so learning to just function without it has been a huge thing. And coffee is my replacement to anything. And I've talked early on this YouTube channel, and even on my podcast here, whatever app you're listening or watching on, talked about this coffee being my drug of choice because of that reason. So I kind of highly recommend it. Tea as well. And I know I've talked to some of you on Facebook that have the same thing, and who also just really are addicted and love tea the way that I love coffee. We all have our vices. I don't care if it is Pepsi, if it is cigarettes, if it is whatever. So coming to terms with it, it's okay. The sooner you do with something that is healthy for you, that works for you, you'll be all right, and you won't have to worry. So this is going to help you. And again, at night, if you really feel like you are struggling and you kind of like either have a craving or you just want to wind down because you know you're not sleeping anyway, I don't recommend it every day as a habit, but if on those rare, really fucked up occasions in your life, having a coffee or a tea, which I love either one, I'm not biased at night, will really help wind you down, or even kind of lift you up in that way. If you're just like, it's a night of hell and I don't want to do this, I don't want to lay in bed, I just want to kind of feel better and be up or whatever. But having that extra strong French press coffee that I did, definitely, and then I'm getting back into French press now, or having that extra strong instant coffee, or any kind of coffee that's just stronger. My favorite coffee, I'll spend a couple dollars more and get some Mutra. That is awesome. You can find it at Walmart, and they do deliver. And I'd get you a couple of bags of that, because it's not going to be the biggest bag in the world, but if you get a couple bags, you get like 4 bags a month, 2 bags at a time, you'll be all right. It's awesome. It's worth it, because you get the health benefits of coffee and the berry and the beans, you know, and you're really getting the natural coffee, and it's just going to help you throughout your day anyway, even if you nap or anything, which we'll get to that in a minute, and how that integrates with the coffee. So this is going to be as early as you can make your coffee possible. As soon as you feel awake enough to kind of stand up and get some water and you can function, make your coffee, because if you don't make it soon, you're going to crash and you're not even going to be able to function. So make your coffee, and as soon as you feel like you can even function, if you can function enough to stretch and get water and, do a few things around the house, you'd be all right making some coffee, as long as you can kind of focus. And as early as possible, the better, because it can get into your system and correct any sort of just misfunction, or just kind of like this. It can correct any sort of just dysfunction, really, that you'll have that day. If you just make the coffee or the tea, get it into your system as soon as possible. Soda, again, is something I've kind of had all my life. I understand it's nice to sit back and have a cold soda, but it does affect health in a lot of ways, so I really don't recommend it. But if that's still something that you need to do, again, I'm really not here to judge, because I understand it. But getting into this, the next thing you're going to want to do, whether it's creative, for me, I've had a lot more work this week in my sort of like my service that I provide, kind of my user experience. And kind of, it's really cool because it's a good in-between, it's more freelance work. I love freelance work. I don't consider myself somebody who can just make a few dollars at the drop of the hat. So I don't call myself entrepreneur. I think that word is very kind of overused and ruined. But I love that I'm in freelance because it works and adapts to my life. I can pick and choose what I want to do. I can work the way I want to. I can work on the go. And so one of the things that motivates me, and you're going to need to find something that motivates you, whether it's art, whether it's making your money, whether it's a little bit of both. I technically do both, really, but I did pick up on some good work this week, and happy to make that money. And so that's been a huge motivator for me to stay awake, because I'm like, well, there's money to be made. Why am I going to sleep and try to make up for lost sleep when I can just make some money? And if you get used to the work that you do enough as it is, you will be all right, even if it's kind of sucky that you didn't sleep. Same goes for creativity. If you are expressing yourself really well and you're creating really good music, art, painting, anything, it might feel a little weird not getting a lot of sleep, but you'll be like, well, I have more time to create. And I've definitely been there and done both, so I understand. But it's just keeping the mind going. If all else fails and you just don't have the bandwidth, the energy, my go-to is definitely scrolling. And it gives me a way to check in on my friends as well. It gives me a way to kind of see how are you guys doing? What are you guys up to? And a lot of times when I share your posts or comment with you guys or DM, a lot of times it gives me more time with friends and things like that. So scrolling on TikTok and Facebook and checking up on everybody and how everybody's doing, X, on how everybody's doing, because we all kind of have something going on that we'd like to update on X or Facebook or TikTok or any of that. So kind of like either creating on social or going in and checking and seeing how everybody's doing is really cool to do. And if all else fails, that actually can kill quite a bit of time after, for me, it was after I made sure that I got quite a bit of work in, taking some scroll breaks to kind of keep that momentum going, not burn out all my energy at once. And so that's what the main key is. You don't want to burn out your energy at once. You're going to want to work. And then as soon as you get a little frustrated, if you have work that is flexible, that's why for me it's important to have flexible work. You take a break, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sometimes you take a couple hours to just make sure that you scroll. And I'll get to what else you can do during that time that you're scrolling, so it helps keep you awake. But as you're doing that, you then go in and get back to work, and you work a little bit better because your mind's had some time to relax, and anything that was frustrating you with work, any interface or client or company or anything like that, what happens to all of us, you can kind of like take a huge breath and realize that it's just a part of a one work day out of life, and life is long and has a lot going on, and it doesn't have to take over as much. It doesn't matter as much. Yes, you want to solve the problem, but one little problem is not going to ruin your life, when it comes to this. So then you just give your mind some grace, give yourself some grace, and take that break. Come back to work. Maybe if it's walking outside, if you're at a 9 to 5, I've done that at my 9 to 5 before. I've had to walk outside. I loved my first job because I got to clean the bathroom, and that was my go-to because I could clean the bathroom and actually work. And then there was a lot of room for breaks. I kind of knew that I worked differently than other people by then, as young as I was, because I'm like, I kind of like to work sporadically. I kind of like to work through lunch. I don't like to take lunch when I'm told to take lunch, whatever. And so I'd rather just take several breaks throughout the day than one long break, I guess you could say. Several smaller breaks. And then sometimes a bigger break in the middle of the day to break things up can help. So that can help. And snack and eat throughout the day for sure. And this could be, you would be surprised at what this can do, because having snacks can really help your energy, can really help as you're scrolling and things like that. You're making sure you're not getting hungry. You're not eating too heavy of a meal at once. If you do find yourself eating a heavy meal, sometimes you didn't know this, but it could wake you up once in a while if you're really just starving and all it takes is just a good meal to wake you up, or a good bunch of little snacks, little mini meals, and fruits, vegetables, nuts, things like that are really good if you are aware of what your body can handle. I can't handle gluten at all, not much at all anymore, hardly any now. Now it's gotten down to like none. I can literally only do it if we're out in social gatherings or friends or whatever. I can maybe do it then. And then I have to come home and eat the healthy food and detox. But I don't necessarily say no if we're out. I like to enjoy myself and eat with everybody. But be aware of what your body can take. And if it's sweets, that kind of help a little bit within reason. If it's, hopefully you have some kind of like fruit or vegetable that you actually like, even if it's a banana. And just snack throughout the day. And it will help you during your breaks from work and things like that. And kind of keep on, make sure you have enough coffee to keep you going throughout the day. You're not just relying on a tiny cup. If it's that strong French pressed coffee, that strong English tea, let it be that. If it's strong green tea, let it be that. But just have it there to keep you sustained all day. And make sure you're drinking water in between. One thing that you're going to want to do, you're not going to like this, but if you find that you have to be up for like 14, 15 hours, you're not going to like this, but you are going to have to let yourself crash a little bit, nap. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get really dysfunctional if you do not. And so napping is going to help. That coffee or that tea that you've had, hopefully, is going to help you. This is where it's going to help you. A soda, it's not going to help at this point because the sugar crash. If you put too much sugar in your coffee or tea, you might want to measure that. I don't have any sugar. I drink everything straight because I like all or nothing. I like to really feel what I'm drinking, the effects, the naturals, the herbs, the beans, all of that, and really get the natural taste and everything if it's something I really like to drink. There are coffees I can't stand. I just don't get those coffees. There are, teas that are too fruity. I just don't get those. So I really go by like the natural taste of something, what it really is, the realness of it. But if you do like a little sugar, nothing wrong with it, but just realize that it might help you. It might not help you. It might help you right into bed. It might help you crash too much. It might not help you. Sometimes it can help you perk up a little bit if you have that kind of brain that's drawn to it a little bit. And once in a while, sweets can do that if you have gluten-free, like in my case, or not. So that's going to help you. And so it's going to help you to time your nap. If you make sure you have enough coffee or tea, your nap will be kind of kept in check. Because you're going to feel that you can't take it anymore, and that's when you'll want to nap. So the coffee will help control the sleep. And once you kind of do that, it'll kind of like, if you can kind of like get it to where your sleep is not very heavy at this point, the nap is a light nap. You can do 2.5 hours. Try to maybe scroll during this time. Try to watch a movie or watch a show or even a YouTube video. Maybe you're watching this one. Or just, kind of maybe have some mindful time to meditate during this time. Try to not to make it about going to bed. If you need silence, do that. I definitely will. And even laying down in bed and meditating is fine. Getting even a couple hours in is fine. But try not to make it all about going right to bed and making your day early, because it'll happen again tomorrow and your sleep will be screwed up continuously. Try to keep it no more than 2.5 hours or so, maybe 3 at the most. I know it's hard. I even try to say less than 3, but you really can't help it if you're just exhausted. But that's where the coffee is going to help. Try to make sure you have enough coffee when you wake up from this and kind of help to keep you up. Continue that kind of get back into keeping the mind going with work if you have any creativity, if you have it in you. Or even just some scrolling, some entertainment. And then for dinner, eat a healthy meal, depending on your diet, veggies, proteins, gluten-free, whatever you need. Just something that's pretty healthy. Maybe a salad. Like, you can't go wrong with a salad. I love making salads. I love learning different types of salads. I love eating salads. Salad nachos are always a go-to with salad tostadas. Things to just get us motivated into eating our vegetables is it for me. I will make those or gladly eat those. But even just when you're in doubt, just have a good salad, a good chef salad or a good veggie salad. You don't always have to have meat, or if you're not a meat eater. And so another thing that's going to be really hard, and it will help you to just drink more water at this point if you're done with your coffee or tea. If not, maybe continue to drink it if it helps you that much, if it's not affecting sleep too much at this point, but stay up late. I'm going against everything that the doctors might have ever told you, because they always tell you, like, you have to go to bed at a certain time every night and wake up at a certain time every morning. Yes, ideally, I agree to a certain point, but our bodies don't always work that way with our minds, and that's all I'm saying. Like, this is just kind of a way to help you. So try to stay up till between 10 and midnight. I would say really between 10 and 11 if you want to get up and have an earlier morning still. And then that way, if you do stay up late enough, you won't be tempted to wake up too early. You won't be sitting there in bed at night wondering why you're sitting up, why you can't sleep, why it's so early in the night or late in the night, early in the morning. And you'll sleep longer. And then what's really cool about getting sleep like this is that you'll find yourself in a sort of, you'll have a lot more time to meditate. You'll have a lot more time to take in your whole thought process. Your emotions you'll feel more awareness of your emotions at night. You can kind of be more in touch with your emotions. When you don't get a lot of sleep, your emotions are all over the place. And I think that sleep has so much to do with mental health, and that's why we have all these health diagnoses. When you think of things like bipolar or all these different things, manic depressants, things where it's like you have mania, where you're up and down in your emotions, that's from not getting enough sleep. And if you could just get your sleep right, you can manage it, honestly. If you don't want to get your sleep right and you're cool with, you want to work with the pharmacy, that's fine. But ultimately, it really comes down to having enough internal space in your body, having enough internal space in your mind. And if you're a spiritual person, even if you're not a spiritual person, just that existence for yourself where it's just you and yourself, and you're able to be aware of your emotions, be aware of your thoughts. If you're spiritual, you'll kind of understand a little more of the spiritual side of having this space for spirituality. Sleep really connects with that. If you're not spiritual, it's just this healthy space for you you don't have to be spiritual to understand it, just this healthy space for you to collect yourself. That's what sleep does. And we've always framed it as you're not a healthy person if you're not getting good sleep. You're not doing what you're supposed to do if you're not getting perfect sleep every night, or if you're not in a sleep routine every night. You know what? It shouldn't really be about that anymore. Not all of us are these workers with straight routines, and some of us are, and we find ourselves in that kind of routine, and that's fine. But it shouldn't be because you're supposed to, because they say it's what you're supposed to do, because they told you to, or even because I told you to. It's really about you having space for yourself. They call it, I like the word sleep hygiene, because it's kind of like self-care and hygiene, where taking a bath and getting clean is not about other people. Yes, you're going to stink if you don't do this, but it's not about other people. It's about you having time for yourself. Getting clean because it makes you more comfortable. It's not for other people. And that's what we have to get past. You're not sleeping well so that you can be there. Yes, it's a bonus to be there for other people and to have the right brain space to show up for others. Yes, especially your loved ones. Same with hygiene. Yes, it's a huge plus to take care of yourself and not stink, obviously, and smell good and be cool and be there. And you'll feel more refreshed and more awake for being there, and you'll be happier to be around your loved ones. But it should be for yourself. That's what it comes down to, for yourself. You should sleep well because you need that time to collect yourself. Even if you're laying there in silence, at least enjoy yourself laying there. At least lay there and think about things that matter, really get into a state of thinking about what matters, or using your imagination, connecting with things, or just enjoying that time and space you have to just be silent, just to be. Don't pressure yourself that you have to be, your body and your mind have to shut down now, and they have to shut down in sync, and they have to cooperate together. That's not realistic. We're going through so much throughout our day, and we're processing an overload of information. And if you could just realize your sleep is for you, it's not for me, so that you can write in the comments or come back to me and go, well, I learned this from you and I did it and I get a good grade. No, it has nothing to do with that. Same with hygiene. If you compare it to hygiene, that's why I love that concept of sleep hygiene. You need that time to shower, to take a bath, to bathe, to do all these things because it gives you space to collect yourself, to even space to think. There are so many pockets of your day that you can meditate, and you don't have to have a special set of circumstances. And you can really get in touch with your thoughts, your emotions, or just the silence in existence. And you're not sitting there as a crutch, being stuck, having to meditate just to prove you can do it. It's not about that. It's for yourself to, it's not even about peace, like really as much as you would think it is. It's not really about peace. It's about space. That's why sleep is important. And so this is a way to hack yourself out of a bad, shitty sleep rut and into just understanding yourself, understanding where you're coming from, and not having to try some torturous recommendation that your doctor is going to tell you, well, force yourself to go to bed anyway. Force yourself to, try this for a week and you get to come back to me and you're going to want the drugs so bad after that week. No. Try being more understanding towards yourself. You don't need an authority. You need people to maybe, obviously save your life and things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating don't go to a doctor if you've had something major happen or an emergency. Call your ambulance for God's sakes if you have something. I'm the biggest advocate for calling an ambulance. I've had to unfortunately do it for my loved ones in the past. And just being a natural caregiver, I love that we have an ambulance available to us for things. I'm all about making sure you're okay. But when it comes to taking care of yourself, you need to be more understanding. This is for yourself. We put too much. It's like we get into the school mindset for the rest of our lives that this is about pleasing and making other people proud of us. No, they don't care. At the end of the day, I don't even know much about you as much as I might think I do, or I don't even know you personally. So how is it really going to affect me? Yes, I would like that this helps you to get sleep, but at the end of the day, I got to get sleep, right? So this is about you. Making sure you get enough sleep. And it's for yourself. It's your space. Nobody cares at the end of the day unless they really, really love you, if they're your partner, if they're your team. I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive husband who has dealt with all my shit and put up with it and has helped me through this. But honestly, this is about you. And even to a certain extent, at the end of the day, you're going to know if you got enough sleep or not. Individually. You're going to know if you've got enough space or not. And it's good even throughout the day to power nap or meditate or take a walk or anything, or just I'm all about that in the middle of the day, finding something mindful or whatever. But it's about you. It's not about anybody else. Your sleep is for yourself. It's for your space, your internal space. That's what sleep is about. So I hope that this has helped you, because this has been such a huge struggle for me, and I'm learning, like we all are. I'm learning with you on how to really get out of it and how to enjoy sleep instead of forcing sleep on yourself. That's what it's all about. Let's enjoy our sleep when we get it, how we get it, instead of forcing sleep on ourselves, instead of forcing ourselves to try to make other people proud. Let's enjoy our sleep. It's time to start enjoying the things that you can do to take care of yourself instead of just doing them because you have to or you're told to or it's a chore. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to care about sleep or hygiene or anything, but you're going to feel shitty if you don't. It doesn't matter. We live in such a world now where people don't care what people think anymore. Like, we're not in a world where we're just doing things that everybody else does, and we're in sort of a going along and doing things as a collective as much anymore. I think there are still parts of other countries and stuff that do that, but for the most part, we're very individual. Like, if you don't want to take care of yourself, you really don't have to care what other people think. But then how are you going to feel? And what are you going to have to deal with as a consequence? Thanks so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Take care of your life. Take care of each other. And thanks for tuning in.